everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Over the Glass. I am your host, Jay.
I'm other host Nessa. Today we have Luisa back on the pod and a new friendly face. Okay, hold on. Guilherme.
Yes,
Or Guy.
on the first one, jackpot.
Nice.
Yes. Hello, guys. I'm super happy to be back.
We're happy
Thank you
to
for
have
joining
you.
us. So, we wanted some extra folks to come on today because this past week, the new Women's Hockey League was finally announced, the Professional Women's Hockey League. And it just seemed like a great opportunity to kind of get first reactions and thoughts on the information that was released during the press conference. And then on Friday they announced the hiring of the 6 general managers for the first 6 teams for the hockey league. So as hockey fans, as folks who enjoy women's hockey specifically, what a great opportunity to get everybody's reaction today. So I guess that's kind of where I wanted to start. Like going back to maybe when we all first got the news that the PHF was being was it disbanded,
It was canceled.
acquired
Yes.
by this new league that had no name yet. Go ahead,
They
be honest.
destroyed it.
Let's be straight and honest.
Yeah.
We don't have words to describe. Only be straight
Yes.
and honest.
Yeah, when it happened, it had been a while since I was like really focused on hockey because I was working at nights and on the weekends I was working as well when the PHF was happening, so I wasn't really in tune with everything that was going on. But when it happened, I remembered that it was so sudden and I was like, wait, what is happening? I woke up one morning and everyone was talking about it and I was like, wait, what? I was so confused and everything was happening all at once. It was so fast, like all the information was coming in chunks, so we had no idea what was going on. And it was so confusing and so frustrating because everything had happened at the end of the season when we got more games, we got bigger salary cap, we got all of that. They were going to expand. So it was very frustrating when everything happened as a fan and as someone who was used to covering, as someone who worked really closely with the Riveters for a season. So everything that was happening, I was like, this is so unfair. Not only to us as fans, but to the players who just signed their contracts and were seeing like everything falling apart. And it was very frustrating. I have no words. I think that's the only word. Frustrating.
Yeah, I was pretty shocked to see that this was all coming about, especially from the PHF perspective, because of some things that you already mentioned. Like they were talking a lot about how salary was getting higher for, for women to actually play professionally. And it just seemed like the PHF was finally heading in a direction where, I mean, we know that a lot of those professional players who, maybe don't have side things where they get sponsored to, be the face of women's hockey for like a big brand or whatever. These women are working jobs and going to college because they know that this could all end tomorrow and that they have to be prepared for that. So to see that these salaries that were being given and signed for these players, it looked like they were headed in the right direction. I mean, like the year before that, or 2 years, what is time now? They added the Toronto Six, and they had a lot of good things going. I mean, they also had the issues with like the PHWPA, where that was a whole kind of like mess where um like I don't really want to speak too much of it, but it looked like that was also a bit of like an issue of like how is women's hockey going to advance to the next level when we have this like the paths are kind of diverging in different directions, like um I mean, and it's not to say that from my perspective that one was doing better than the other. It's just we're in a time right now where there's a lot of ambition and hope for the women's side of hockey, and to see all this stuff come out with the PHF. And I don't know if you guys know a little more about the shock behind, well, how are they signing players to all these big contracts and then finding out later like, oh, they actually had no money. Like, what were you going to do when the season started? So does anybody kind of know a little more about that? No.
No,
Okay.
I know nothing
Yeah,
about
I
that.
don't I'm
I just remember that time when that weirdo bought the New York Islanders on the 90s, and then he started to sign contracts without no money to buy the team. I forgot his name. That guy who bought the Islanders.
Yeah, I
So
know who you're
when it
talking
starts
about,
to
but I can't
receive the
remember the
information,
name.
yes, they have that ESPN doc that when it starts to pouring the information about not only but all the former league, so became in a mad way because they don't have informations. They can talk the GMs rules about the cap, about the money rules. They don't. They don't expose to money guarantees that they can sign, that the players can sign contracts, and they actually had to earn that money. They have guaranteed money. So for all the players who started to playing and they have opportunity to play right now in this news, uh, they had to obligate these rules to okay, we will sign these contracts in for a year, for 2 years, for 5 digits, six digits. I don't know about who will be the cap or who will be the base for the money, for the salaries. So every players association has to be in a straight line for first and foremost, because it's the only way to be guaranteed not only the money but guaranteed all the sports rights. Let's talk about this because they had to be health insurance. They had to be some sort of institutional insurance. Let's talk about, because they need to be responsible when okay we start to playing like I don't know if the schedule is already tightened up or it's already ready. So okay, we have to play in a week. Let's talk about it was this time. Okay, we will train, we will play, and then we will have to travel. I don't know, in planes or in trains or in cars. I don't know. What are the structure? But they had to be the obligation to demanding these rights. So it's in a weird way when in the day it's okay. No one had the information, and the other day you just woke up and have a lunch, and then you started pouring the news. Oh, the new league, the new franchise. What are the GMs? What are the players? What are the money? So it's confusing. It's great for the sport. It's great for the women's sport, but at the same time, all you have to cross the fingers to know that this is a serious league with serious GMs, serious owners, and the players has to know that they're I can't talk about obligation, but they had to play. They had to play, uh, not for the players, but for the fans, for the cities. So they had to use a hierarchy, but the top of the hierarchy has to be serious. And we still in a dark room about this part of the hierarchy. So it's really not weird, but you had to cross the fingers to in hope and pray to be responsible person for this.
Right. I think if on the topic of the GMs, a couple of the ones that I've seen talked about is the one who was chosen for Minnesota, I think actually played for the Whitecaps and knows how Minnesota hockey works, like the market, which I feel could be good for that team. And then the GM chosen for Boston actually was working for the Bruins at the time, before she was hired on for this one. So I feel like she has some decent experience, and that could be good for the Boston team. I haven't heard too much about the other GMs that were chosen, but it's gonna be like it's an exciting time because it's a brand new league, so you don't know. There's like this anticipation about like how these teams are gonna, you know, basically gain their fans because they're starting from scratch. There is also this like, I don't know the word, not like disappointment, not like, I guess, the sadness and the fact that they completely, like we mentioned earlier, they destroyed the other teams. They don't exist anymore, right? It's history now. It's only been a couple months, and it's like they don't exist anymore. That's the past. So but it sucks that they're not. It doesn't seem like they're gonna do anything to honor those teams, like, at all. You know, they're gonna have new team names, new logos, probably new color schemes and everything, which it's like, okay, I understand because it's a new league, but I don't know, pay some respect. You know, they kind of paved the way for this to happen because these teams are going to be played in the same cities that these other teams were at already. I'm kind of happy that they decided to stay with Montreal because they only had that team for this past season, you know, so at least they get they get that, you know, they get to keep their team there, but it sucks that Connecticut lost theirs. So there, it's just a bundle of mixed emotions.
I feel bad that I forgot about the Montreal Force. But it's like you said, it was so new that
Right.
now we have like everything was kind of like the boat was tipped over. But I mean, like you said, I sat through the announcement of the new league, and it I don't want to quote anybody because I don't have it in front of me, and I've also been reading like some opinion articles from like the Artist Garden and stuff, but there is some feeling of like, yeah, these previous leagues are kind of like they're not even really acknowledging that they had a hand in getting to where we are today. And I feel like a little bit of, capitalism kind of comes into play where it's like, oh, we don't want to acknowledge them because like we're gonna be the women's pro, hockey league. And it's like, that's fine, but you pretty much stomped over a league that's been running for quite some time, and maybe there's stuff under the hood that wasn't going right, but people, like fans, were excited, and then like people, like all these haters sometimes are always saying like, oh well, like no one's interested in women's hockey. Like there are a lot of people interested in women's hockey, and like from my perspective, I'm I always hope that one day we're gonna arrive to the point where we could have a professional women's hockey league in the Bay Area somewhere, because I know you guys can relate that it's hard to follow a team that is far away. The experience of getting to go to a game is like a whole nother element of being a hockey fan. Just like interacting with other fans, like that's what like the love of the sport, is all about, just like all those different avenues. And like I was trying to follow, like I didn't really have a necessarily a favorite PHF team, and I kind of chose it by proximity. So I was like, yeah, let me root for the Minnesota Whitecaps just because they're closer. I don't know. It's like I don't know how to choose because I want to support them all. Yeah, like who's closest?
Let's
Fine, we'll
open the
go with
map and
that.
throw
I like
the art. Oh,
Yeah,
it's the closer.
I like the
yeah.
whale because their logo was cute.
Yeah, it was so
Hmm.
cute. I think that it's sad that they're not acknowledging because it's like you said, Jay, there were a fan base, like, and it was not small. We were probably very quiet, but it was not small. When you look at the Buffalo Buttes, they had so many fans and they had very loyal fans. They went to every game, they were there, they were rooting. Some of them had their shirts off on the outside game and had like the name spelled on their chest. So that's passion, that's love. That's what we see for NHL teams. You had players who were loved by a gigantic fan base. You had people that were like following because their teams had connection with PHF teams, even though it was not close, even though it was not like 100%, they were there. Like the Riveters played with the Devils for a really long time. The Boston team, I forgot their name. What's Boston Pride?
Pride.
Yes, sorry. Had a really cute connection with the Boston Bruins. So we had all of
Hmm.
these teams supporting each other, and all of a sudden we don't have that anymore. You killed teams that were there, that existed, that made history, that were fighting to make space for women's hockey, and now you just come and say we're gonna be the hockey league for women, and you're like, okay, but we already had one. You have to acknowledge that. We have to acknowledge everything that they did so that the PWHL could exist. I think that's
They crawled so they could run.
yeah, exactly. So I think that it's really that, like, looking at everything from a perspective of, okay, you want to be the best, great, good for you, but let's look at the people that came before you because it's unfair not to.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Another disappointing part I feel is, the way the players were treated in all of this,
Yeah.
where they weren't advised. They weren't given a heads up at all. They found out these at the same exact time that everyone else did. These players that signed these big contracts, they bought houses, they bought new cars. They were getting ready to move to these places and play, only to find out, like, "Hey, by the way, your contract's void. This doesn't exist anymore." And they're just left stranded. And now they don't even know if they're gonna be picked to play in any of these teams. Yeah,
Yeah.
like, what? It's it's wild to me that they let this happen to the players from a human perspective. I understand from a business perspective, whatever, but, like, these poor people,
Yeah.
uh at the very least, from what I've seen, they have a oh god, I forgot what it's called. A compassion something,
Yeah.
compassion
Something
clause. I
so
can't.
that like players can they have like a preference to a team's location because of something happening in their
Yeah,
lives.
they have
Yeah.
family
Yes,
there that they
some
can't
sort
move
of
or something.
clause.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yes,
Which
empathy
at
clause,
least,
some sort of this.
at, yeah, at least they have something like that. So I would assume the players who bought their new houses because of these contracts are gonna be the ones to sign up for that. But
You
yeah,
receive
man.
the first paycheck, and then okay, I'll buy a new house in my new home city, and I have to buy a car, and I have to buy some stuff for my new house, some furniture, some food, some all the stuff you need. You have put some work to find a new gym to stay in form, to stay off the health issues. And then, okay, you don't have a contract, you don't have a team, you can't be a player, you don't have money. Oh, remember that paycheck, it's voided. We don't have money to cover that check, so you put in the bank, and the check will bounce back, and you have to put on fire, I guess, burn.
Yeah.
It's sad.
And it's
You you
also like
you fell off of any perspective.
it's also like they thought they would be able to live on a minimum wage as hockey players, and that was going to happen for most of them, and now it's not. I don't know if you guys checked out the money plan that they have, but it's like absurd. They will have 3 players that are on minimum wage, and then everyone else will have to work 2 jobs to cover for hockey, because what they're gonna get paid is not even gonna be enough for that. So it's really frustrating, and we had like players from Europe that were coming there, that would have to that would have to move everything, would have
Oh,
to
it's
move their
close. Brazil,
lives.
US.
Yeah, Brazil, US. We're at least on the same continent, and
No, we're not.
Yes.
You guys are
Yes, it
South
is.
America.
yeah, here we learned that everything is America. So
Oh,
for
yeah,
us, it's
that
the
makes
same
sense.
continent.
You're right.
Yeah.
You're right. We're always wrong. US is wrong. You're right.
It's
Geography
America and
lesson.
everyone else.
Yes, exactly. But yeah, and they also
The land of the
there's
free and the
the
brave. All America.
I'm gonna put an eagle flying across my screen right now.
Stop it.
And there's also like the fact that we had so many workers working for those teams. And it's not only the players that lost their jobs, the workers did too. Like equipment managers, social media people, everyone that was behind the scenes, they lost their jobs all of a sudden, and they lost their stability. And I know that they probably didn't get paid a lot. We talk about the players, but the workers had probably had their second jobs as well. But it's like you killed not only a league, but you killed dreams most of all, above everything else. Like you killed dreams, you killed people who were starting, people who were like dreaming of working for a league that was growing, and now do those people get their jobs back? No, they won't. Do their people get their dreams back? No, they won't. A lot of them can have left hockey because it was so unstable. So I don't know. It's just everything's so frustrating. Like I'm really excited for the new league, but deep down there's that hurt still for everything that they've done and how they ended things for everyone, because it was just, hey, no more league, bye bye. We don't have anything else to say to you. Let's leave.
Yeah, and everything's happening so fast.
Yeah, we don't even have time to process things. Like free
You're just
agency,
throwing things at us,
yeah.
right? Like, hey, forget about what happened 2 months ago.
Yeah.
Has it even been 2 months? Yeah, free agency started. No, I don't think any team has signed anyone yet.
No.
But they have, 10 days to sign 3 players?
I think so. I think their draft is on September 13th, I believe. Let me check. I had the tweet open here.
I don't even know. Is that going to be televised?
Well, yesterday was it yesterday? They've got this is Saturday, September the 1st on this article, but that's not the right
It was Friday.
date. So, okay. So the teams could sign 3 players beginning then. I really haven't looked at anything outside of prepping for today in regards to all this. So,
the draft will be on September 18, not 13. September 18.
Okay.
Yeah. And yes, they have 10 days to sign players until September 10th.
I wanted to just add the little note from earlier about, with all the stuff that like they gutted the team. I mean, they gutted the PHF and they've gutted these teams, and then, with just this vibe of like where the start of, like the league that everybody was hoping for women's hockey, it's like you're also not starting off on a good foot with, like, there were a lot of fans for all the teams with the PHF, and even going back to, like, the CWHL, and just, folks who follow, like, teams for, all the international competitions and things like that. Like, you're kind of like, in a way, like, do you realize that you're sort of alienating those fans? Like, those fans are diehard women's hockey fans that generally just want women's professional hockey to do better. So I don't know, it just kind of seems a little tone deaf with that sort of like vibe. But, like Louisa said earlier, it's like, yeah, I'm trying to be excited about this new league, and in some ways I am. And then but at the same time, it's like, t like you're still mourning the loss of these teams that all of a sudden, like, you woke up one morning and it's like gone. And then, like, you're somehow supposed to get excited about, like, the teams that will be the first for the league. They're in a lot of the same, they're pretty much in the exact, almost the exact same areas as the ones that were for the PHF, with the exception of like Ottawa. So you're kind of like, you demolished it, and then you're putting a new building on top of the graves of all these teams, like the fans within that area, and then the greater scope.
All the changes. So you put all the foundation. You put all the new structure in the. What are the changes? You have to check all the boxes. No changes.
Yeah, the only main change is that it's got a new shiny label, but you're in the almost the exact same spots as all the teams that you kind of said, well, you don't exist anymore because we ate you up, and and we're starting anew. Like, we're the new professional women's hockey, or the professional women's hockey is here. We're finally here. So yeah, that's all that is to it. But what I did like about some of the things that they mentioned was that for the games, that they're gonna, like, not necessarily stay in that area. Like, they won't have the arena that all the games will be played in. Like, they are actually gonna go out to, like, neutral sites, I'm guessing within the US and Canada, um, which will be kinda nice to, kind of like what the PWHPA was doing, where they had, like, their tour, and they were going out to all these different locations and stuff. So I think that'll be good, at least to kinda, like, introduce the new league to the area.
The only one I've heard about is Ottawa's gonna play where the 60, what is the junior hockey league? The Ottawa
67?
67s?
Yes, 67.
Yeah.
Have they
They're gonna
announced the arenas? Because they said in, like, their announcement that they didn't have any, like,
there's
or are you
talks
meaning
that
just as an
they want.
option
Yeah.
for.
It
Okay.
like right now I don't remember if it was the GM that said that they're looking at the women's team playing in the same arena as the 67s. But that's the only one I think has been announced or as a possibility so
Yeah,
far.
I
Like even
saw. Yeah, sorry, Miss.
I was just gonna say the New York team hasn't even decided where they're gonna play yet.
Yeah. I saw that they were also looking for one of the neutral places to be at XL Energy. What is that? It, the Minnesota Wild Arena.
Mhm.
It's something like that. Yeah, it's something like that. So one of the neutral sites they were looking at is the Wild Arena.
Guys, Minnesota wants to play next arena.
That'd
So
be cool.
yeah, that would
Imagine
be
they could fill that
really
up.
cool because it's a really it's a really big arena in a really good spot.
And then you put on the billboard the players with Kirk and Marcus. Oh, not Marcus Foligno. Matt Boldy and Joey Eriksson put the new players, and then you make the new atomic mushroom. Whoa, the women's are playing so injured. Let's came to watch this new product. And then you started to buy new loyal, and started to buy new loyal fans, and that has the chance to work in a better way than they don't do in the former league.
Hmm.
So you have to work on marketing. You have to work on all these structures about the people, about social media, about interconnections with not only the Wild, but in the Minnesota case, but Minneapolis, uh, and then you can make like a purple uniform just to remember Prince. The first thing you have to do in Minnesota,
Yeah.
except the Wild is playing on green shirts. But you think about a new product first and foremost, a new product, not a league. You have to think in the money, okay? Because these women need money to play. Not they only play for the money, but they had to pay. They had to pay her. They had to pay their value, their market value. It's a tough sport. They living for that. So you have to put the money on those players, but make some sort of machine to work this. And I remember, I prefer Twitter. For me, it's Twitter. In my heart, it's Twitter. And the first news is the Minnesota franchise wants to play next. It was like the first news, even before they talking about draft, about free agency, about the money. Think in a positive way. You have to, at least at this point, you have to talk. Oh, they talking seriously. We can have some some little hope. It's weird talking this way, but you think, oh, they put people, they can work in this not only as a sport but as a product.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like Minnesota would be a good place to experiment whether the women can sell out an arena like the men can, because they're the state of hockey. You know, they all pretty much grow up playing hockey in Minnesota,
Yeah.
and when it happens, it's gonna be great.
Yeah.
We talk about their trans inclusion thing.
Oh, I didn't even see that.
So one of the questions that was asked during the press conference, I believe, or press release, what is it called? The presser? I forget
Media
the term.
conference, the one of those
The
words.
announcements.
Release. Let's put it all together.
Yeah, sure.
The
Throw
coming
all
out
the words
event.
together. Yeah.
Yeah.
So someone asked them, because the PHF had trans folk, or non-binary, for I can't remember.
Yeah.
One or
It
the
was
other, or
not
all.
perfect by any means, and so during that presser, um, it did make me wrinkle my nose a bit. I'm glad that it got brought up. I'm glad that that question was asked. I believe it was Mike Murphy from the Ice Garden that had asked that question, and at that time they had nothing to report. And I believe they either followed up on that question from someone else, but they also did not want to disclose who they were working with to create that policy. So for me, that's already starting off on a bad note.
Yeah.
I'm already not having good vibes with that.
So the PHF actually had a player who was trans, right?
Yeah, but he probably didn't want to play in a league that was women's hockey. This league who for the PWHL, who, like, obviously they've been following this for some time to prep to create this league, for them to not be able to even have something in place or be able to have something to talk about, like, is like,
Yeah.
it's nothing new.
It feels like an afterthought on their part. It's like, "Oh, this is a
Yeah.
women's league. Why would we be thinking about trans players?" It's disappointing, but it's not surprising as most things in this sport.
Unfortunately.
I feel like we say this almost every episode.
Yeah.
Oh, favorite teams?
Anyone
Or do
got a
you want to
favorite
talk about
team yet?
Yeah.
No.
You guys are Islanders fans, right? You're gonna stick with New York?
Well,
Probably.
I saw that, like, technically it's not even well, I don't know how official this is. I don't remember which article I saw it in, but technically they're looking at Connecticut, which kind of made me go, why it's like whenever somebody is from like the Bay Area and it's not that big of a city, they go, "Oh, it's in San Francisco." It's like
No,
No,
it's
it's not.
not the same thing.
no, it's not. Like, Connecticut's an entirely different state.
Yeah.
Not even close.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It I don't know if I have a favorite team yet. I'll probably go with Minnesota because that's where my partner is from. Like he lives in Minnesota, so I'm gonna end up if I ever go there, I'm gonna end up staying in Minnesota.
Planning
Nevertheless, so
plans.
yes, planning ahead always. So even Minnesota, yeah,
I think I'm gonna wait until the names and logos come out, the color
yeah,
schemes. Whoever has the cutest color scheme
yes, that's important too.
has absolutely nothing to do with hockey, but it's very important.
They use the blue color and gold and I don't know red. Oh, okay, it's the color scheme that I want to in my team, so it's my new
Yeah,
favorite. And then you walk, oh, it's Ottawa. It sucks.
yeah.
What do you have against Ottawa?
Not, I love Ottawa. I yes, I don't like this, but I like Ottawa. I like the team. I like the brand. I like the color scheme. I just don't like the team. So it's
Fair.
I prefer Ottawa to Montreal. Let's talk about in a straight way. I prefer Ottawa to Montreal, but I prefer to start watching the games and see, oh, it's Minnesota, it's Boston, it's Ottawa, it's Montreal, because you have to look at the hockey way that they want to see. You prefer
Yeah,
an offensive team or a defensive minded team, or you like the color, you like the badge, you like the uniform, and oh, your favorite player is on that team.
yeah. I
Okay, you
think
have to put
players will be
some
the
dots
big
to
thing for me.
orientation.
Yeah, I didn't even think of that.
Yeah,
That might sway
The
me a
players?
bit because I was just gonna default to Minnesota again, but ooh, that's gonna be rough if like some of my favorite players are, God forbid, they play for Toronto. I might actually have to root for a Toronto team.
Right.
yeah. I just hope
Yeah,
nobody's
that's
gonna
important
like
too.
Boston because Boston is my number one. No,
Not Toronto.
not Toronto. I think that Montreal will have the biggest fan base probably because if they sign Poulin, that's probably going to be where everyone will want to be rooting for. So I think they'll have the biggest fan base probably, but who knows? Maybe she doesn't sign
Who
there.
Placing our
knows?
bets now.
Yeah,
I'm like, do you think Sarah Nurse is gonna play? I'll follow Sarah Nurse.
anywhere.
I
Wherever
mean,
Summers plays, I will cheer for her.
Yeah.
I had to talk.
Yeah,
I'm in
exactly.
love in her. Seriously, I bought the NHL 23 just to see her on the
Oh my
cover,
god.
not Trevor Zegras, just to see her.
wow.
And Trevor
You
Zegras
could just
is
look
the
it up on
franchise
the
player of my
internet.
team. And then
You
I
wanted to hold
started
it.
to fall in love with Sarah Nurse.
Oh boy.
Okay, it was like my first hockey crush. I remember
That's
the
funny.
first
Aw, that's
women's
cute.
hockey player I have ever saw was Hillary Castle, Phil Castle's sister.
Mhm.
But she's my crush, and I
Yeah.
have to tell I'm in love for her. Oh, sorry, I forgot all the words. Sarah Nurse, I love you.
Put it out into the world. Maybe she'll watch this episode.
Maybe. Avid listener.
Highly doubt.
We have a ongoing joke with TikTok that Darnell Nurse is our listener. Like he listens to every episode. So every time we talk about him and we're like, okay, hello Darnell. I know you're listening. We know that he's not, but we have this ongoing joke. Yeah. Sarah Nurse, if you're listening, we love you.
Big fans.
Big fan. Yeah, I think that if she does play, she's gonna play probably for like Toronto or Ottawa. I don't know, because she's Canadian, so I don't know if she
Right.
Mhm.
Oh.
well.
All right, but like, what cool American player do we know? Hillary Knight. Do you think she'll play?
That's
I hope so.
I hope so. I
I
think
mean, they're all part of like the previous PWHPA, so they've been. Is this not the direction they were hoping to go?
I
So it'd be
guess.
feel a little. I mean, she's not hockey old yet, so
yeah.
I don't know. There's a player I was following. She's so young and she's already like almost done playing.
Who?
She's
well.
Reagan Rust. She's like 27 or something. She played for the Riveters. I don't know if she'll play. I think she said she's coming to the end of her hockey career, and I'm like, what the heck? You're so young.
Yeah, I think an American player that will be with New York is Madison Packer. That's my bet. Like she has been very active within the New York Twitter and like
Mm.
hyping everything up. So I think she might sign with New York. I would love that because she's a great player. And
Because she's on because they created their own PA, and I think she's one of the
yeah,
board members.
yeah. I don't know if she's
She was the star in all the stuff. One of the stars, the PA.
I know was their DM for a really long, for like a season, I think, a season or two, and she was their commissioner in the PA. So hopefully they'll both be involved with the new team somehow. That would be really nice to see. Those are my bets as to who's gonna sign with who. I'm not an insider.
We'll
I'm
see.
just betting. I'm just paying attention.
Well, we'll come back to this episode and see if Louisa was right about everything
Yeah.
she's predicting. Then the supposedly non-insider.
Yeah. In like 2 weeks we'll know what will happen. So wait and see.
Oh my gosh, only 2 weeks away.
Yeah.
That's kind of exciting.
Yeah. Super cool. Like it's gonna happen. And it's gonna be like a draft.
But like,
That's the coolest part
yeah.
for me.
Oh yeah, I was gonna ask, are they gonna televise that? Like where to watch? Because some of us don't have cable.
I don't know. I don't know if it's gonna be cool. I don't think they have a contract yet with a provider. Yeah, but we'll see. Hopefully it will be because that's super exciting. Like I know that most of those players, the women's players, have never been drafted before. But that's gotta be exciting. That's an experience that's very common in sports. So that should be exciting. I mean, terrifying because most of them are already
Yeah.
established, but like also kind of exciting to see.
Yeah. It's like an expansion draft, right?
Yeah,
Like with the Golden Knights and the Kraken.
yeah.
Um I heard that there has been an overwhelming amount of women who signed up for their to be draft eligible for this. So much so, like, there's way more women or people. I don't know if there's any non-binary trans folks they're gonna apply, but I heard
Maybe
that
they're
there's way
TBD
more.
till this policy thing.
Yeah, than there are spots on teams. There's way more people who signed up.
Yeah,
I don't know what first, but you have to see the draft eligible, and then you have to put like 20, 24, 25, 26 players on the same team, and then you have to see all the draft eligible players, and it was like hundreds and hundreds. So it has to,
yeah,
it, for the fans, for the players, for the teams, it's a new hope.
yeah.
You can talk in this way. It's a new hope.
And maybe
So
they'll
we
start
saw the
a
engagement.
junior
We
league.
saw this engagement. We not saw, see this engagement.
Yeah, it would be super cool to have a junior women's hockey league. That would
Junior,
be
minor, whatever.
so cool. Yeah,
Yeah,
minor.
right.
All right,
Same
Lisa,
difference.
we're behind you. When are you starting that?
Well,
add that
first
to
of
your
all,
checklist
Let's
of
found a
when
new
you're in
minor hockey
Minnesota.
team.
I need a visa first of all.
Get on it,
It's
girl.
like I said, add it to the
Okay.
checklist. Visa.
Yeah,
You're gonna be in Minnesota. You're gonna start the first junior women's hockey
Casually
league.
become
Yeah.
a
You
billionaire
have to
to
be
start
the
your
new
own hockey league.
GM.
yeah.
Yeah.
Hopefully, I'll win the lottery.
You hit
in
the
the
jackpot
meantime,
lottery.
and then yeah, I'll create a league, women's hockey
Perfect.
league as well.
I'm so
We're your
excited
number
for
one
your league.
supporters.
Yeah. Let's start the fan club. We're gonna be able to come back to this episode and be like, we were the first
Remember
supporters.
when she told about when we reached millionaire, and then he started a new minor hockey team, and then a new minor hockey league.
Yeah, exactly.
My
Don't
first
forget us little
supporter.
people when you make it, though.
I'll bring everyone with me. I'll be like,
Perfect.
you
Love
get a
it.
job. Do you know that meme? Like, you get a job, you get a job, you get a job. Everyone gets a job. That
I
would
will be the sabermetrician guy.
Nice.
Maybe we can come up with logos.
The
That's all I
ice
have to
Billy
offer.
Bean.
Yeah.
All right, so let's close this out with some feelings moving forward after these announcements. Like, I guess, what are you looking forward to in regards to what's to come, or something that you'd like to see next from the league?
I think the first thing would be the logo for everyone, including the league, because they don't have one yet. That's the first that we should have, but oh well, they already released it. And I think that growing, like to be an actual professional hockey league, because I think that's the main thing for everyone. It's about giving their employees a livable wage, giving their employees like sustainability and being stable most of all. Because I think that it's great that they're doing this. It's great that they are creating something, that they are giving space to a lot of people, but I want to see stability for everyone. Like I want to look at things in 10 years and say, okay, it really worked out. It's really here to stay, because the PHF was here for a long time and all of a sudden it ended. So I just want to see like it's really gonna stay. It's really gonna stick, and it's gonna work out. I truly believe it will, but I want to look at it in 10 years and say it's a professional hockey league. You know, that's the biggest thing of all.
Yeah, definitely the sustainability of it, with a focus on giving the players a wage where, like it's been said multiple times during this episode, a way that they can just focus on playing hockey and live out their dreams and not have to worry about balancing working job, a side job, and hoping and trying to keep this dream alive. Like, um, definitely having that focus in mind, where the players aren't just being, showcased around to promote this league, and they have to just like deal with like terrible conditions to hope that it'll get better in like 5 years down the line or something like that, which is always kinda difficult when you have these not players, these owners that, while I do understand that they have this experience of running a big organization and things like that, but, I think sometimes it could get away from them that these people are human beings, um and then on top of that, like, of course, the the inclusion policy for trans folks, because just there like, there needs to be a space somewhere, and I don't know exactly how that should come about outside of, like, me as a non-binary person. Like, it's always such a complicated feeling for me when there's women's hockey and men's hockey, and this naturally I'm like, I don't fit into either one of those by the way that society runs. So if I were a young kid in this moment and wanting to have a dream of going and playing hockey, what does that mean for me? Like, we're not in a place where non-binary folks, trans folks can have that same dream. And so this league starting up, like, these topics aren't new. So they have an opportunity to pave the way and be an example. And right now it doesn't seem like that, but I've got to be hopeful, because that's all you can really kind of do.
It's the new hope that I have to talk again. It's a new hope, not only for the players, not only for the fans, but for a generation. That a generation that lives for hockey and can play and can live their dream. So they have to do stability, ownership, and managership, and manager stability and player stability for their lives, the sport, for the league. They had to put in not a retail product, but a established league, not only for the US and Canada, for the world, and as the highest have the difference that you can, then you have to look in 5-10 years, not only 60, but 10, 14, 16 teams, to be a lots and lots of players and staff and training staff and social media staff, and not only uh, men's owners, women's owners too. And you have to feeling that this non-binary generation, the talk about these is there, not only the grown up, not only the adults, but the kids, the children. They had to look for not only a league that, oh, the women can play, that they're idol, but they can feeling that they can feel represent about the players, about their future, about their dream. But you have to put a product, a, a, a healthy profit product, the league, the stuff, getting the games, the loyal fans, all the stuff. It's we hope that we can in an organic way, in a strong way, because uh, this can change a sport generation. It can change lives forever and ever.
You guys said it all already. I feel like it still feels pretty exciting to have a new league coming in and, you know, having so much potential to change the game, so to speak. So it's just a waiting game at this point. But from what we're seeing so far, it is you can't help but feel excited. You know, it's something new. Such a shiny new toy.
Yeah.
All right. So thank you so much to our Tic-Tac-Go friends for coming on today to the podcast to talk about the PWHL. I'm sure there's going to be lots of exciting news coming out between now, the draft, and they hope to start somewhere in January, which seems I don't know, that seems crazy that they announced it, like, just a little bit ago, and now we're gearing up to, to potentially have a leagues a new women's hockey league starting in January and something exciting, for the women's side of the sport. So, thank you so much for listening today. As always, I am your host, Jay.
And I'm Nessa. Thanks again for joining us, you guys.
Thank you so much for having
Thank you.
me. Bye.